What is up, everyone? This is Dave over at Green Hat Kiteboarding, and today this is the Cabrinha Bump. This is the 5-foot version. If we're being honest with each other in the pro world, Cabrinha has not really been a brand that I would say has been noticed for what they do. And that's exactly why I wanted to try this board. And surprisingly, this thing is actually super epic. So first, let's kind of talk about exactly what the Cabrinha Bump is. And with all of these mid-lengths coming out, the trend seems to be this narrower, longer, and then thicker version. A much narrower outline as well. Almost parallel, similar to what the Sonova Pilot Mid is, but this has kind of a different take. So the bump is 5 foot, 40.5 liters, and 20 inches wide and 3 inches thick. So what that kind of does is it gives me a different story to tell with this board, because I would personally consider this almost a larger prone board. And I've kind of said it in the past where normally things like this would kind of scare me. I wouldn't really be that interested, but hear me out. There's a lot to be said about the design factors of this board, and I think it's important to talk about it. So as you can see, there is blue tape all over this board. All right. And what I did was I took in a lot of factors. I took in the nose width, the tail width. This is the wide point. I also even went to the extent of finding out where the nose rocker starts, where the tail rocker starts, how wide this is right here, and then how much flat area is on the bottom. I'm gonna put all this stuff in show notes too so you can use it. So first, let's get into design. So it's 20 inches wide, which in most cases, it's a little wide. It does have this concave deck, which what it allows you to do is, even though it's 20 inches wide, it allows you to almost place your feet and push off of it. So it gives you more leverage. That's an interesting thing. So for me, with this board, I found my feet almost, my front foot being like this, and my back foot being right here. So I'm also using this center line as almost a measurement of where my feet should be. It allowed me to give a lot more room for error, especially popping up. I've personally been really interested in trying to do whitewater hits. Although dangerous, they're so fun to do, and the amount of coverage that this board has, it allows me to be a little off and still have a lot of recovery. Having this wide point here, it is an inch back from center, which means most of the volume is technically in this area. So when pumping, you are not pumping against this big oval style round nose. It's 17 inches at the nose, which allows plenty of area to pop up, even if you're coming off like longboards or something along the lines of that. It still feels very relevant. The tail is 16.5 inches wide. Again, tons of room for error, which even at someone advanced, I do truly feel that it's nice to have some more room for, again, recovery. Having this big area also, I was a little nervous about just in general having the issue of pumping, but I have found that since the wide points push back, it has been very easy to pump even with a board this long and this wide. Now, when you look into anything online, they tell you that it's a lower rocker foil board. I personally don't see that. I think it actually has a lot of rocker. So the nose rocker line is technically starting right here, and the tail rocker is starting here. So the nose rocker is 5 inches and the tail rocker is 2.5. So that's actually a lot of tail rocker for this particular board. Now, with that, the flat area is 14.5 inches right here. So although it took a little bit of time actually getting used to paddling it, just because you would think something longer, again, with the trend of these mid-lengths, they're flatter in the rocker. So the one thing that I have found with having all of this rocker is touchdowns. I was literally able to fully come off foil and hit the bottom, and because the rocker is flat right here and not here, once the water hits here, it has nowhere else to go. So you breach your tip, you hit the water, and you just get bumped right back up. Actually, wondering why it's called the bump. Maybe that's why. But bumped me right back up. Tail rocker allowed for me to do these very, very fun, just glidey whitewater hits that I've been really into watching SUP surf foilers. And I love it how they have this offset stance and just do this whole figure 8 back in. And I felt like I was almost doing this with this board, which was awesome because it's something that I've never really done before so consistently. Having this extra room allowed me to feel a lot better about all of the different angles that I was taking. The extra nose rocker, obviously, as well, is going to help in bigger waves, giving you the ability to not feel like you're just going to get fully lifted out of the air, but also that whole worry of nosediving. Having the rocker pushed up in general on the nose when you're paddling, you can push against it and help you get on lift faster. And again, although this board has a lot more surface area than maybe I'm used to, I had no problem turning it. It is a different turn. You are not going to be able to turn it if your feet are in a surf stance in the middle. You are going to go offset, but I will tell you that, again, the angles that you can get with something of such a wide platform makes it super fun, makes it super surfy, and just feels very lively for its size. So just a few things as far as setting up if you do decide to get one of these. I actually found that the magic sweet spot was right around +2. I am using a AFS 900 Enduro with a 142 silk tail. That's where it felt the best. Naturally, again, this board has a lot of nose rocker, but I don't feel that you technically have to push the mast all the way up front in order to get a good pump. And actually, when I did do that, I found that yes, the pump was a little bit better, but it then made my back foot here and my front foot here and made the leverage very odd just because the Y point is here. So I always kind of like to have my foot right around the Y point of the board, unless of course the Y point is all the way up here. So what I suggest is kind of maybe having it up a little bit just to kind of get used to the pump. You'll find that you might have to use your back foot a little bit more, and eventually move your mast back. I have also found that an easy way to do this real fast is to just balance your board, which is where you put your mast in an area where when you pick it up from the front wing, it immediately just balances level. Another thing that I kind of can say about as far as some tips for this is when you're pumping, put your feet together even more than you think you should. With this width, you want it to work with you, not against you. So you will want to have your feet closer together. Maybe instead of in front of the mast, maybe right underneath the mast. Keep that front foot very close and you'll be able to get this thing flowing and pumping very easily. So to sum this up, the Cabrinha Bump really surprised me. It's not really something that you see out on the market. It is something that I feel most people would really enjoy. They make a 4/8 version, which apparently has even more rocker. I chose this because summer's here. I'm not getting a lot of waves on my smaller board, and I just wanted something to kind of replace my regular mid-length. And it turns out this thing is actually more fun than I thought. I find myself riding this 9 times out of 10, unless I'm going to go SUP foiling. As far as who is this for, although it doesn't paddle as well as flatter rocker boards, I will say that it actually makes it very easy. As far as the amount of area, you have a lot of wiggle room just in case, and that's one thing when you're learning how to foil, you want wiggle room across the board. Literally, you want as much area, but at the same time, you don't want too much area where it feels like you have something out of control and you just simply cannot control it at all. You are not going to get the craziest turns with a board like this, but I will say that it feels very controlled, and that's something else that I've really liked about it, and I've been trying to focus my prone foiling in or surf foiling is control-based focus, trying to get as much maneuverability as I can, but also keeping it clean, because a clean foil is a smooth foil, and a smooth foil is an efficient foil. Less is more, and I really do think that this kind of helps with that. Well, again, the Cabrinha Bump was a blast. It actually taught me to kind of think outside the box a little bit. When I literally took this board out of the box itself, I said, oh man, this isn't gonna work, and it ended up really working out. It's so fun. We got them in stock, greenhatkiteboarding.com, and if you want more stuff like this, please hit that like button, subscribe, share to all your friends, and until the next time, go get on foil. Later, guys.